members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, distinguished gentlemen of the press, before I give my reflection of what I have seen in Lagos, I want to take this opportunity to give you a brief of what we have been doing and what Mr. President, through this committee, has been doing. I am pleased to be in Lagos today, along with members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, to interact with the Governor of Lagos State and his team, as well as to inspect facilities put in place by the government for the control of COVID-19 pandemic. As you are all aware, the COVID-19 pandemic is the most significant public health emergency of international concern, having recorded over 1.3 million cases, causing over 75,000 deaths worldwide, as well as significant disruption to healthcare systems, particularly in low, middle, and high-income countries. In our case, the economy is also adversely affected. Since the inauguration of the PTF, the nation has been briefed on a daily basis in Abuja on the developments, especially at the domestic level. I therefore wish to seize the opportunity of this national briefing in Lagos to inform you that the national response, both at the federal and subnational levels, is a unified one, carefully guided by national multi-sectoral COVID-19 pandemic response plan. We are also working in collaboration with the World Health Organization for guidance on issues of standardization and global policies. I wish to, at this point, assure all Nigerians of the unwavering commitment of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari to this war against COVID-19 and his readiness to mobilize the resources to achieve our national objectives. The strategy adopted by the PTF, working in conjunction with the state, include testing, detection, isolation, contact tracing, and management. This strategy has resulted in the following measures, which you are all aware of. These are restricted travel from 15 high-burden countries worldwide. Second, closure of land, sea, and air entry points. Thirdly, restriction of movements in Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And states have taken preemptive measures to restrict travel in several other states. And lastly, the introduction of social distancing and personal hygiene. With particular reference to restrictions, you are aware that Lagos and Abuja have become the high-burden areas in Nigeria, and drastic measures were required as part of the containment strategy to prevent community transmission. Let me at this point, that it is not the desire of government to punish its citizens by restricting their movement, but rather out of abundance of caution. Out of abundance of caution, that difficult decision was taken to save lives by preventing spread. Reports have been received on the general level of satisfactory compliance in Lagos with the lockdown order, and we have similarly received reports of violations. In this case, I commend the Governor of Lagos State with his institutions and the instant action taken by the government by prosecuting and convicting notable violators, which shows that nobody is above the law. In recognition of the impact of the lockdown order on the poor, physically challenged, the elderly and vulnerable, Mr. President approved the release of 70,000 metric tons of grains from the strategic grains reserve. Out of this, about 6,800 metric tons will be distributed in Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory, while the rest will be distributed to the 13 frontline states that have recorded cases of the COVID-19 disease. I assure you that the distribution of Lagos State shall commence shortly. Mr. President has similarly approved the payment of 2 months conditional cash transfer to 2.6 million poor and vulnerable already registered in the social safety net program. On behalf of Mr. President, I wish to commend the Governor of Lagos State, the people and government of Lagos State in controlling the pandemic and for putting in place isolation centers, ICU facilities, as well as establishing a wide network of contact tracing. The Commissioner for Health in Lagos State has also been serving as the chair of the Committee of Experts set up by the federal government to evaluate and accredit private medical facilities or other centers for the management of COVID-19 cases. In appreciation of all the efforts of Lagos State and the good people of the state, the burden that is carried, Mr. President approved the sum of 10 billion naira as support for fighting the virus. The federal government, in addition to the donation, approved, allocated Lagos the lion's share of the PPE, face masks, face shield, and overall gowns donated by to Nigeria by the Chinese philanthropist, Mr. Jack Ma. A few days ago, my office authorized the deployment on loan of 15 Hilux vehicles from INEC to Lagos State to support contact tracing. The cumulative effort for the control of COVID-19 in Nigeria has attracted the commendation from the United Nations Secretary General, which assures us that we are walking in the right path. The United Nations family in Nigeria has similarly launched the COVID-19 One Basket Fund, which was designed to serve as one COVID-19 financing and investment platform for mobilization of resources. Having stated the foregoing, I wish to emphasize that the nation is at war with an unseen but very potent enemy. To successfully prosecute this war, we must own it. We must participate in it. We must create awareness. We must obey rules and regulations. We must stay at home when ordered, and we must not conceal any information from the medical or disease control authority. One person who is infected in a community can endanger the entire community regardless of its size and status or position of the people living there. Coronavirus is real and is dangerous. Let me appeal to Lagosians, indeed to all Nigerians, to play our roles in defeating this pandemic. To win the war, we must abide by instructions to stay at home, maintain social distancing, personal hygiene, and report all suspected cases to the designated health authority. Before I end my remarks, let me, at this juncture, on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, and members of the Presidential Task Force, truly and sincerely commend the Governor and the people of Lagos State for a remarkable, resilient, and resourceful fight against the coronavirus. Your Excellency, you have done very well. We have looked at the facilities that you have put on ground. We are quite impressed, and we are completely convinced that if we can deal with the Lagos situation, 70% of this pandemic in Nigeria will have been effectively dealt with. So I want to commend you And I want to thank you for your commitment and your determination and the resolute show of leadership that you have demonstrated. I believe strongly that going forward, the things that we have discussed this afternoon, the resolutions that we have made, the suggestions that have been put in place, if implemented, Nigeria would be one country that would show to the world that with collective resolve of its people and its government and the resources and the cooperation of the international community, we would overcome this crisis. But let me leave you with this parting remark. The COVID-19 has not only come to ravage our health, it is also come to ravage our wealth. As a people, with the Nigerian spirit, our determination as a people, I am very confident we shall overcome by the grace of God. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen of the press, we will now listen to the incident commander, COVID-19 Lagos, and that's in person of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, who will respond to what the federal government.
Thank you very much, gentlemen of the press. The chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and also the secretary to the government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, thank you very much for coming. Members of the Federal Executive Council, the Honorable Commissioner for Health, the Honorable Minister for Health, Dr. Osage Ehadire, the Honorable Minister for Interior, Dr. Rauf Aregbesola, the Honorable Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Honorable Minister of Environment, Dr. Mohammed Mahmoud, the National Coordinator for the Presidential Task Force, Dr. Aliyu Sani, the DG NCDC, a man that we always see his face every day and night, Dr. Chikwe Kwezo, the Director Hospital Services, Dr. Adebimpe Adebiyi, Director Public Health, Dr. Umo Eniabong, the World Health Representative, Dr. Faisal, they didn't put your name, I recognize you. Other international partners here present, my colleagues in the Lagos State Cabinet, members of the State Executive Council, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. Thank you very much for your patience. It's been a long day for all of us. We started this journey, I think, around 9:30 this morning, and I'm sure you know the day is fast spent. We're indeed happy. First, with Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari, for setting up this high-powered Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I have expressed the appreciation of Lagosians privately through the chairman of the PTF, but I need to also express it publicly that on behalf of the government and the people of Lagos State, we cannot thank our president enough. We want to thank you for the leadership. We want to thank you for all of the things you've done behind the scene for us. And we can also see it from the level of responsibility and the level of commitment as been shown by the committee. It's no news that every day we get a national daily briefing from them. And we're indeed, it's nothing that we're happy about, but we're excited, you know, that they consider Lagos an epic center. That's why they've come down for themselves to see where we are, what we're doing, the advice they need to give us, the corrections we need to take, and the collaborative effort that needs to happen between our government, all of the federal agencies, and the federal government of Nigeria. I'm sure we all know what are the responsibility of the PTF. It's a mandate to take necessary measures at ensuring that we bring this pandemic under control as quickly as possible. It's also a high-powered political, multi-sectorial coordination mechanism which brings about inter-ministerial agency and intra-ministerial and individual agencies of the federal government together, working collaboratively to ensure that there's a seamless engagement. They're not looking for somebody, the person is not here or is not around. All of them that needs to work together are what Mr. President has put together, and I think we need to thank him, for that. It's also a high-level coordination of all of our various United Nations agencies, and so you can see WHO, you can see African Union, you can see UNICEF also working with them to ensure that we bring this to bear very quickly. It's also used as an organ to gather information, intelligence gathering, not just for COVID-19 alone, but also to be able to position our country for an event of future occurrence like this, so that they will have foolproof data that they can work with nationally. And I imagine that these are not very easy tasks that has been given to them, but I imagine they're doing it, and they're doing it very, very well. They're also used to facilitate economic national interest, which will mitigate the economic impact of the pandemic. The chairman of the PTF had explained to us that they had to take hard decisions, tough decisions, the lockdown of Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja, and he had said to us that it's not what they want to do, but for us to bring this pandemic to an immediate resolution, or to halt it, right? They needed to do what they're doing, and we're beginning to see the results of all of those initiatives and those difficult decisions that they need to take. And of course, we know that part of the assignment also is to form collaborative, effort amongst the various states. And so that's why they're here today, to see for themselves and assess not just the level of preparedness or readiness of Lagos, but really just to be able to see what are the things that they can continue to support us with. And they've gone round, and they can report to Mr. President tempestuously and as regular as possible and as frequent as is necessary. And so I want to thank them again. We've gone round. They've been to a few of our facilities today, and we've also explained to them our other levels of preparedness. And we're indeed grateful that they are happy with where we are now, but we still can do more, given where we are with the general pandemic. So, SGF, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, thank you for finding out time. Various heads of agency, the coordinator of the committee, thank you very much. Thank you, our international agencies, thank you. Gentlemen of the press, I think I'm done with my own time. I think we'll just get a few other comments and we'll be open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Governor. Permit me, Mr. Governor, to...
I think since the SGF has spoken, if there are just questions or clarification from gentlemen of the press, we'll take a couple, because they still need to catch a flight back to Abuja, and I'm sure they do daily reportage.
So, Mr. Governor, we're just going to have 3 questions,
okay,
because the guests need to
yes,
go back to Abuja.
Thank you.
Honorable ministers and commissioners here present. The coronavirus, as you know, is described as a novel virus. A novel virus means that it's new, and the medicines that might work against it are not yet very clear. So different trials are going on in various places. People are trying all sorts of methods, and part of what you said just now is being tried, the use of convalescent plasma, which is taken from people who have had the coronavirus. They have been treated successfully, so you can take their plasma and see if you can use it for other people who are seriously ill. These are still trials that are still being reviewed and will be confirmed as time goes on. The same goes for chloroquine. Chloroquine has been found in some tests to work outside the body, what you call in vitro testing. But if you take it inside if you swallow it and take it, whether it really works the same way as it works outside in a test tube, if it works in the test tube as well as it does outside, it's not yet very clear. Most of the countries in this world depend on the declaration from the World Health Organization, because the World Health Organization collates all this research and studies them and then makes the recommendation for countries to take. We also look at the World Health Organization, and we are joining in some of the studies that World Health Organization is organizing here in Lagos. The Honorable Commissioner of Health is doing all he can to participate in the trials, clinical trials for convalescent plasma and chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, and the azithromycin that is being used in France. So the other question is whether the other states are well prepared. Well, they're as prepared as can be, but Lagos State, of course, a front runner. You know that more than 50% of all the cases of coronavirus in the country are here in Lagos. And quite clearly, because Lagos is an international airport and a country where we have the most travelers coming into the country are coming through Lagos. And this is an imported pathogen. It's not an indigenous pathogen. So the proportion for those ports of entry is relatively high. Abuja has the second highest, also because of travel, and importation from other areas can also increase your percentage. But the Lagos State has the additional advantage that they did very well in 2014 when they were handling the Ebola case. So there's a lot of institutional memory which is left over, which is helping a lot. And I have told the commissioner that as other states begin to develop their public health response and protocols, they will come here to come and do some sort of study, maybe 1 or 2 weeks of hands-on to learn the tricks that Lagos has. So Lagos is very well prepared. Other states are trying. They have only few cases outside, so there's no comparison with what is here in Lagos. As to local cure, again, the question is how many how much do we know about this virus in order to find a cure? We look into every assertion. Some people say they have the herbs, and some people say they have the concoction. But for those who are serious, well, we have a department in the Ministry of Health, which is the Department of Traditional, Complementary, and Alternative Medicine, which will look into your claims. We do not throw away any suggestion, but the efficacy and effectiveness of the medicine has to be proven before you are going to recommend it to people to take. So those traditional methods of cure are subject to study. I think that's all for the health sector.
Thank you very much. So there are questions for the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Sir, there's a microphone, but it's going to be placed on the mic holder there, sir.
I think there was only one question for me.
Thank you very much.
I think there was only one question for me as to whether the lockdown will be extended. Basically, this is part of the consultation. We are looking at the objectives that were set when the lockdown or the quarantine declaration was signed by the president and subsequently by several other states. Before the end of the week, we'll do an evaluation, and part of the trip here was to do an evaluation to see how the objectives that were set are being met. And at the end of that exercise, we would have the responsibility of reporting to Mr. President, because Mr. President in his declaration did state that it was on the advice of the Minister of Health and the health experts that informed his decision to sign the Quarantine Declaration 2020. At the end of our evaluation, a certain set of recommendations and advice will go to Mr. President. And at that point, he and he alone will take the decision as to when the lockdown would either be extended or it will stop at the expiration of 14 days. Because in his address to the nation, he did say 14 days in the first instance. So it's open. It is based on what has happened within these 14 days. And the objectives that have been set, have they been met? Have we achieved success in the direction that we wanted to go? If that has been achieved, he will look at all the information available to him as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I can assure you that he will take a decision that is in the best interest of the people of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor. Sir.
It's okay. Thank you very much. I think there's also one question for me regarding what are the other facilities or what are the other things we're doing. Okay, so there's several other levels of things we're doing outside of the sane isolation centers. So we have other facilities that were also reserved in the event that we need to trigger the usage of those facilities. An example is, so when we have people coming from the land border, right, and there was a request about yesterday about some people coming from the land border, and we needed to activate a facility at Badagry. So we have 2 facilities at Badagry, right? So when that happens, those facilities will go live, right? So we also have facilities in Ekpe, we have at Alimo Shore, we have in Lekki, we have in other places that are just waiting in the event that we need to activate and clear those facilities, especially for quarantine. If we need to just hold people for 14 days, we don't know their status, or just, we're not sure if it will manifest or not. So just to hold you down and see how you evolve, because it's not every case that you need to take to a red zone in the isolation center. You need to have what we call like a holding bay, and so those are the kind of facilities that we've also made available for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Governor, sir, may I crave your indulgence to take one more question?
What's the question?
Okay, sir.
Omolara Omosoya is my name. I work for Radio Nigeria. Sir, my question is going to be directed to the SGM.
Oh, it's to me.
Yes, sir. In his nationwide broadcast, President Muhammadu Buhari promised to send relief materials to residents of Lagos, the states that are locked down. Already, the Lagos state government has distributed food stimulus to a category of people. So when is it going to get to the turn of Lagos residents, particularly those that are on the lowest rung of the economic ladder?
My brother, the governor of Lagos, is part of the federal government. So he's an extension of the president. And what he did is commendable, and that he took that step to ensure that, because the primary responsibility for the welfare of the people is for those that are in government. By extension, the president and the governor of Lagos State. And he's demonstrated that by what he has done. In my address, I did mention the fact that he has already directed that 70,000 tons of what we have kept in our strategic grain reserve be released for the particular purpose of addressing as a palliative to the vulnerable, the poor of the poorest in our communities. And about 6,800 metric tons is dedicated to Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory. Yesterday, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management, and Social Development was in Mina to take over portions of the grain from the strategic silos that we have across the country. The one in Mina has some certain consignments. She was there yesterday to symbolically take it over. They are in the processes of bagging and rebagging. Those processes, like I said in my address this afternoon, that of Lagos, they will soon start delivering to Lagos for distribution to people who are deserving of these palliatives. It's not everybody that needs grains, but for those people that are deserving of these palliatives, I believe that very, very soon, probably within the next couple of days, Lagos State would have its share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. That will be the end of this session. And we want to thank our guests from the Federal Capital Territory, the State of Power in Abuja. Mr. Governor, that's the end of the briefing. Thank you.